Today on Gaming Soon, we discuss the Wii U and some of its launch titles. We also briefly discuss the new model PlayStation 3, and a few new games drop in for the Greenlight Watchtower. All of this and more on this week's Gaming Soon.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Gaming Soon this week on September 19th. Once again, we are joined with Erico, and what happened to your Jester hat?
I actually forgot to bring my sombrero last time, so I just wore the Jester hat. It was a temporary thing. You're gonna be seeing me wearing this sombrero from now on.
Fair enough, after all, you love to pretend to be a Mexican.
Even though I'm white as a ghost, as you can see.
Yes, like vanilla flavor to be exact. So anyways, as our introduction stated, we're going to be talking about a little bit about the Wii U, a little bit about the new PS3 model, and then like some more Greenlight Watchtower. So anyways, let's talk about the Wii U first.
Alright, what do we got first then?
Well, let's talk about the price point first, because that was a lot of things that people were worried about.
Yeah.
So last Thursday, the day after we recorded our first episode of Gaming Soon, by the way, so we couldn't get to this sooner because of time. Anyways, back on track here. So it's actually going to be two different models here. One, an 8GB model, and then that's going to be like $299, and then a 32GB model, which is going to be $349. But that's going to include like some extra stands as well as a copy of Nintendo Land.
If I'm not mistaken, they also have another bundle that has Zombie U, or that's going to have Zombie U instead of Nintendo Land.
Yeah, there is that, but that's going to be a European exclusive.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I assumed it was coming over here too.
Yeah, that would have been cool if that would have come here, because I would pre-order that version instead, but you know,
Yeah.
I'm still looking forward to Nintendo Land.
Yeah, actually, Nintendo Land looks. I wasn't completely sold on it until I saw some of the recent stuff that they're putting on it, like the Metroid one.
Yeah, the Metroid one, which
fight and stuff like that.
yeah, the Metroid one that you mentioned was originally a Wii U game demo back at E3 2011. So I'm glad that Nintendo didn't abandon that right away.
And I'm glad they actually like turned it into something recognizable with their IP.
Well, sadly I couldn't find like any trailers for Metroid U, for the Metroid minigame by the time this is recording. I'll try to in the middle of editing, but I'm not gonna make any promises because like I already did my impressions of Nintendo Land while I was at E3, so if you want to see how some of the games played, go on ahead and watch that. I'll put a link below in the description.
Alright.
But
Back to the price point, right?
Like, you want to talk about price point? Because I think that's kind of fair for what you get.
I think it's pretty fair, and I really can't say I blame Nintendo for wanting to sell the consoles at a profit. Because, you know, 2-3 years down the line, when we're starting to look at like the new PlayStation, the new Xbox and stuff, we're going to start seeing price drops anyway. And the technology is going to be cheaper, so having them continue to sell at a profit, I can't say I really blame them. It hurts the wallet a little bit, but then you also have to compare it to back when the 360 came out and when the PS3 came out. We're looking at like $400-$600.
Yeah, we'll talk more about the PS3 later on down the road, because like there's a lot I want to get off my chest about the new PS3 models. But continuing on with the new Wii models, like I am kind of surprised that Nintendo decided to do like two different Wii U models. Like I guess I can see what they're trying to go with it. They're kind of surprised. Anyways, like, enough about that. Want to talk about some of the games real quick?
Well, I think we should probably start with the obvious one, New Super Mario Brothers Wii U.
Yes, they're like, by the way, they're like going to be like 50 Wii U's launch titles. Well, not launch title, but released within a launch window, but we're going to be talking about only like a few, because like, we don't want to, you know, make this video longer than it has to be. So like anyway, New Super Mario Brothers Wii U, more the same for what I see, but there is some little enhancements to make it stand out from the original. new Super Mario Brothers Wii?
I like that they're kind of going back a little bit to the Super Mario World kind of map system where things are a little more spread out, where like the screen actually scrolls, like where it feels like it's a flowing, coherent world because all the worlds seem to link up to each other from what I've seen from trailers and stuff. So I like how they're going back to that. I feel like that's how they should have done the new Super Mario Brothers games in the first place. But I like that they're finally bringing it back here. So, I mean, better late than never, I guess.
Yeah. Like I said, more of the same, but little tricks here and there, like you said, the Super Mario World style maps and integration with the new Miiverse. As well as finally having Mario jump into the HD era, so...
Yeah. Plus you get to play as your Miis, which is pretty neat.
Oh yeah, that was another demo they showed up back in 2011 when they were first talking about the Wii U. So that's interesting and such. Like, I'm not sure if I'm going to be getting it on launch day because, like I told my friend earlier in the week, I want to like concentrate paying off the Wii U first before I start looking for the games. That way once I have the system paid off, if I can't find any of the Wii U games, I have some Wii games to fall back on and such. But it's Super Mario Wii U. Definitely looking forward to it still.
It's more of the same, but I mean, as long as the level design is good, I don't really see if there's anything to complain about.
Yes, and then there's Lego City Undercover.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you right now, back at E3 2012, it was a surprise hit for me because I wasn't expecting this kind of game for the system.
I gotta admit, I wasn't either. At first I was kind of like, why this? And then they started to show more of it, and it seemed like every other Lego game that it focused more on like the comedy aspects of it.
Yeah, comedy and exploration.
Yeah. And which is okay. I don't think I'm gonna go out of my way to purchase it when I get a Wii U, or to play it for that matter. But if I come across it for like $20-30 sometime down the line, I would definitely consider picking it up.
Oh yeah, that looks like something I would like to pick up too. You know what Lego City Undercover reminds me of?
What's that?
This Activision game called True Crime Streets of LA.
Never played it.
It was like a GTA style game, only you play it like as a cop and such, trying to take down this crime.
Gotcha.
It got kind of real towards the end with Chinese mythology mixed in, but it was a decent game. And Lego City Undercover kind of reminds me of that, minus the rated M parts,
Yeah. Well,
yeah, more comedic and such. So anyways, you'll once again see the trailer down below in the description, and we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that, especially for like a price drop, because I don't know if I want to pay $50 for it right away.
Yeah. And then finally, most controversial thing on the list here, we're looking at Bayonetta 2.
Oh, Bayonetta? I thought it was Trinity 2. I'm joking. Yeah, it's definitely Bayonetta 2. It's like, I don't see the complaint. Like, people, the original Bayonetta was a surprise hit. Not a major hit, but a surprise hit. And people were begging for a sequel. And Sega, the original publisher of Bayonetta, were dragging their feet. So Nintendo saw that demand. They know people wanted AAA titles for the Wii U. They were like, hey, that's a game. We'll throw some money at you so you can make a sequel. All you gotta do is just make it an exclusive for our system. I don't think the problem with that. Exclusives has always been a part of a console's popularity.
Because why would you buy a Wii U for titles that are already out on other systems? That's the thing.
Yeah, because a lot of complaint about. Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, that's a valid complaint with a lot of third-party games on the Wii U, because it seems more or less they are like simply ports of already released games,
That's the problem.
slightly enhanced and such.
Right.
But with the Arkham City one, that seems pretty exciting because of the electric armor and such.
I
But,
feel like that's a game changer for me.
And not necessarily game changer, but anyway, back to Bayonetta, like, we finally get a sequel to the game everybody wants, and everybody complains that it's not on the 360 or the PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
Hey, don't hate Nintendo, don't hate the Wii U for it. Hate Sega for not throwing out the money for it, you know?
Personally, I don't think you should hate anything. I just want to say that I'm proud of Nintendo. I'm actually proud of Nintendo for going out of their way to make an exclusive that people want to play, throwing the money at the publisher to, or not the publisher, but the developers to, you know, make that game, just make a unique game for their new fledgling console when everybody's like, is it gonna succeed, is it gonna fail? And there's really no better way to ensure that your console, that your new Nintendo console is going to succeed. There's two ways. You put something that somebody wants on the console that's first party. Of course, we have Mario. They learn from their mistakes, their past 2 or 3. And then you put something else on there that people are going to want, and you do something a little non-Nintendo, because, like, I would, if you had told me a couple weeks ago that Bayonetta 2 was coming out on the Wii U, I'd have laughed at you. I would have laughed, because I'd have been like, that's not really something that Nintendo really, you know, really invests in.
Yeah. Like, we could talk hours upon hours, but I'm gonna end it at this. People are always complaining about not having, like, mature titles on a Nintendo console, but once they finally do, people are always complaining.
Yeah.
And I have to say, cut that double standard shit out, people.
Not to mention, there's always the chance that it'll get ported over to the other next-gen consoles when they come out, or maybe even put onto the current-gen consoles. You know, you never know.
Yeah, but for now, just shut up about it. It's not the worst thing to ever happen to a game.
I agree.
Like, anyways, like, now let's move on to other things because eventually this weekend, I believe, the Tokyo Game Show is going to start off.
Yeah, Tokyo Game Show. Looking forward to seeing what all comes out of that.
Yeah, then next week we'll be talking about the games at that show, but no, there have been a couple of pre-game shows announcements already made, and what I really want to talk about is the new PlayStation 3 model that Sony announced.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's apparently going to be 50% smaller than the original, and 25% smaller than the already released Slim model. It's going to come out on like 250 gigabyte model and a 500 gigabyte model. Like, I don't remember the price off the top of my head, but I can imagine being between like 250 to 300, depending on which model you get.
Yeah, I wasn't paying too much attention to the prices.
Yeah.
I know it was between 200 and 300.
And I'm like thinking to myself, really? You're announcing this, like, what's the point of releasing the system, a new model system, so late into the game? Like, didn't you already release like a Slim model?
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Because I got an 80 gig, I got an 80 gig PSC for $150 earlier this year.
I thought about the 160 gig.
Pretty sure it was 80, I can't remember.
Well, check it out.
I'm probably never ever going to use that much space on my PS3.
Yeah, in fact, the only reason I use a lot of space on my PS3 because I got a bunch of free games through PSN Plus.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking about it. Somebody that I know over on Skype has said like they probably made a new Slim model to compete against the Wii U. I'm thinking to myself, that's a terrible way to compete against the Wii U.
I gotta agree. I think it's a really light jab.
Like, here's the thing. This isn't the first time Sony done something like this. Back in 2004, when the Nintendo DS was right around the corner to be released, Sony released a new slim model PS2 in hopes people will forget about that handheld
Right.
and go for that system. But here's the thing, it didn't work last time because Sony wasn't releasing anything new. It was just a smaller version of what they already released. Technically, that slim model PS2 could be considered the inferior model because you could not, for the life of you, install a new hard drive into that system, which was needed for a few games, including their, at the time, MMO exclusive Final Fantasy XI.
Yeah.
Now this time around, Sony is trying to do the same thing, this time against a new console. Once again, they're not offering anything new. It's just a smaller version of what they already released. And for a consumer like me, back in 2004, I still went with the Nintendo DS because it offers something new and interesting. And this year, Wii U is offering something new and unique, and Sony's not releasing a new slim model. So I'm just thinking to myself, yeah, I understand that you want to decrease production costs and make a little bit more money, but let's be honest here, that's not going to be enough to keep people away from the Wii U.
I agree completely.
Yeah, that's all I really want to talk about as far as the new PS3 model is concerned.
Yeah.
I understand from a business standpoint, but from a consumer side, it's not going to work on me.
No. I already got my PS3. Short of it, yellow lighting. I don't think I'm really ever gonna get another one.
So, let me take a sip of Coca-Cola before we move on.
Got a drink break. Sounds good. Caramba. Alright. So, what's next? We got a green light?
Yeah,
Watchtower?
Greenlight Watchtower.
Woo! Just been keeping eyes on the
Yeah.
on those
Yes, and I've been trying
horrible iOS ports.
well, actually, I've been looking up some updates for Saturday Morning RPG, and the developer did say that they are retweaking the mechanic to work for PC and not for iOS, so...
Yeah, that's good. It's just that when I'm looking at the trailers and I see that little joypad in the bottom left-hand corner for the control stick, and it's moving around when they're playing, that doesn't really sit well with me.
Understandable, and I was gonna check out some more updates about the games that we talked about last weekend, but apparently Steam has removed how many percentage that game has for that thumbs up to be approved. And I'm like,
I didn't even notice till he pointed it out, but
yeah,
that's certainly true.
that's disappointing because
Yeah, I want to see the progress.
Yeah, I want to see the progress. I want to see if our show had a little bit of impact on this game. I mean,
Right.
I wasn't expecting a big impact because, let's be honest, this is still a new show in its infancy. But,
Right.
I just want to see if it had, even the tiniest impact.
I agree. Yeah.
So,
Even just 1 or 2%, that's support. That's still some developer support. I mean, we're still giving them free, advertisement.
Free advertisement.
But even so, I completely agree. I'd like to see the progress.
Yeah, so
Maybe they'll change
no
it.
progress report for now, but if they bring it back, we'll let you know.
Yeah. All right. What's up first?
First up, Dusty's Revenge, right here,
It's actually Dusty Revenge.
Dusty
but
Revenge,
Whatever.
I know, pronunciation's not my strongest.
Yeah. Let's not be picky.
Yeah, anyway, we were watching the trailer over on the Steam Greenlight, and to me it looked like a combination of a Western meets Shake, because how fluid the animation was, how the combat was and the looks of the graphics.
Yeah, I felt like it flowed pretty good, but I suppose that should be par for the course for something that's animated the way it is.
Like I said earlier, there's no way to see how far they are because they got rid of that bar, but looking at the description, it looks like a game that I will want to keep my eyes on.
It's a 2D action platformer with unique support character mechanics.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that a thumbs up.
I'm not fully sold on that one.
Yeah.
I'm a little more picky when it comes to paying for games,
Now
unfortunately.
look at the comments, people do seem to like the idea, so. Yes, this game still has my support. And the next game we're going to talk about, it was actually a surprise to me. Shantae's Whiskey's Revenge.
Yeah. I played, gosh, this was like a Game Boy Color one?
Yeah,
ages ago.
Yeah, back in 2001.
And I didn't really like it. I'll admit. I don't know if it was because I was younger, but...
Yeah, but like, Whiskey's Revenge was released for the DSi world back in 2011.
Right.
It was slightly ported over to the 3DS. Not really taking advantage of the whole world, but being able to play on it.
Right.
And then sometime later we'll port it onto the iOS. And now it's on the Steam Greenlight. I'm like thinking to myself, wow, like, why would this game be in Greenlight? This would be a game that would have been approved right away by Valve, but...
Yeah, that wasn't the first thing I thought of when I saw it, but I do have to agree that I would figure that that would have gotten greenlit without even needing to go through that process.
Yeah, but still, like, I guess Ray Ford wanted to take that risk with Greenlight and see if people will want to buy the game.
Right. I guess that's also another thing that Greenlight's for. It's not necessarily just to pick the next big games that are going to get released on Steam, I should say, but I think it's also a way for developers to, or it feels like it's developing into a way for developers to see how...
Oh, let me turn off that one.
It seems like it's a way for developers to find out how much demand there is for those specific games, which is kind of interesting because you'd expect everybody that uses Steam to go on Greenlight and like look at a few games every now and then, but that doesn't seem like a very reliable way to, you know, see customer support as far as the game goes.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Rob, because like what I have seen of Shantae's Whiskey Revenge is that people did enjoy it on the DSi 3DS, and I think the iOS port has some decent reviews too. So like, from the looks of it, it still has a great animation you would expect. You know,
Right.
very detailed 16-bit sprites, and
It looks like a good game. Don't get me wrong. It's just I'm a little bit surprised that it's even there in the first place.
like it should have been one of those games that would have been approved by the way, but still, it is Greenlight, and should I support it? Yeah, I'm going to support it whenever they release it onto the.
Maybe I'll mute that thing.
Yeah. Like anyway, as I say, yes, I would support that project, but like at the same time, I didn't really think it was necessary to be on Greenlight.
Right. If it's under $10 and it doesn't look like it's a god awful port of the iOS version, then I'd give it a thumbs up.
Well, I don't imagine it being a part of the iOS port. I would imagine it being more based on the DSi 3DS because they actually have native control support.
I suppose, but even so, when the trailer doesn't make that distinction, it doesn't.
Yeah, the trailer does show off the iOS version.
Everyone else talking about that little joypad thing.
Yeah.
You see it in the trailer. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why they would use the iOS trailers. Like, but at the same time, like, I don't see the point in making a brand new trailer right away. So,
Yeah.
anyways, like that's it for the Greenlight Watch Hour. And that will be it for this week's Gaming Soon. Next week, we're definitely going to be talking about
Tokyo Game Show.
Yes. So, thanks for watching, guys, and see you next time.
See ya.